Hey, what is up guys, TheKnowee here, and today I'm going to be doing a beginner's Unity tutorial, and in this video I'm going to be covering how to install Unity, everything you're going to need in order to run Unity, basically all of the other programs that you guys are going to have in order to run it, and I'm going to be covering the interface of Unity so you guys know what you guys are looking at before I really get into the nitty gritty of Unity and start teaching you guys all of the amazing things that this software can do. But before anything, I gotta teach you guys how to download it. So if you guys go into whatever search browser you guys have, I have Google, go over here to download, you're gonna click that. It'll take you to this page, accept the cookies, alright? And then I confirm that I'm eligible to use the Unity personal per term service of use. If you guys want to read that, be at your guess. And you're gonna download the Unity hub, go ahead and click that. And it's gonna say, alright, let's get you started. Pick where you're going to save it. I already have Unity installed, so you guys can go ahead and take care of this yourself. So you go ahead and install the Unity hub. And once you guys have installed that, this is what you guys are going to see when you open it up. Of course, I'm going to let you guys pause the video now and install that before I continue. Alrighty guys, so now that you guys have Unity installed and ready to go, you have this Unity hub ready to go. Now, here's the cool thing about the Unity hub. There's Unity hub, projects learned, which is all this cool stuff. There's the community page and then the installs page. This just tells you all of your different versions that you have installed, and basically every single version, so 2019.4.19, that's basically just one of the updates. So I started around 2019.2 and now it's up to 2019.42. So this is just the most current version. Let me circle it for you guys. This is the most current and supported version. So you guys might be wondering, well, why do you have this 2020.2 if you're going to be talking to us about the 2019? It's because unfortunately, guys, right now the 2020 versions aren't as crazily supported as the 2019 versions. So you guys are going to be running a lot more off the 2019 versions than the 2020 versions. But do not worry, guys. The 2019 version works just as good as the 2020 version. It's just the 2020 version is more of a test subject right now and will come out later as more of a supported product for everybody to use. But right now that's not too big a deal. Go ahead and grab the most recent version of Unity in the 2019, which is 2019.421. They just recently came out with an update. I have to get it myself, but there is a new update. I'm going to be sticking with 0.4.2 because, you know, I don't need to really go up and beyond where I'm at right now because I'm pretty nice with 0.4.2. But go ahead and install the most current version for you guys. So it'll go into the installs and then install the most current version. Then once you guys are done with that, we're going to head over to projects. And you guys will see, obviously, your guys' thing will be empty. There will be nothing here. I have stuff in here because I've been doing other stuff that I've been working on. It tells you your Unity versions, the ones you've been working in order for that project. It tells you your platforms, so if I was aiming for Windows or my current platforms. And it tells you when you modified it. I modified this one a little bit ago. Now, the awesome thing about this is now we can get you guys started on opening up Unity. So go ahead and head over to this new, right here, button. And go ahead and click the arrow. I still have my pen turned on. Let's try that again. Turn on the arrow, or click the arrow. It'll have you select a version. I'm going to click 2019.4.2, and it'll open up this wonderful little screen here. Now, once you have this screen open, you guys will see a few other templates in here. We're only going to be worrying about 3D right now, but I will be getting into the 2D templates, the 3D with extras template, high definition and universal render pipeline templates. Eventually, I will be telling you guys about this, but right now we're really going to be only worrying about 3D. Now, you guys, as you guys will see, there are other templates here. These are your learning templates. So this is your 2D platformer, first-person shooter, karting, sample auto showroom, VR. You got your mobiles, your AR, and your Lego micro games. Basically, every single one of these is used as a way to teach you. So if you guys are brand new getting into it, but you have, like, let's say you're not 100% brand new, maybe you're a little bit ahead of everybody, right? And maybe you have a little bit of experience on the first-person shooter micro game. That's awesome. That's great. However, if you have really no idea what the heck you're doing and you go into one of these templates, you really won't know what's going on in there. You'll see all the code, but it'll make zero sense to you. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you guys get from just an open basic project to knowing how you can make your own first-person shooter micro game. But without any further ado, let's make a project. So let's give it a name. I'm going to call mine Project Tutorial. You guys can call it whatever the heck you want. This is just the project name. And also check out where you can want to save it. I'm going to save it to my desktop so it's easy for me to access. Once you guys are satisfied with a name, don't spend all day creating a name, go ahead and click create. I still have my pen on. Click create. That's going to have you open up this, and I will see you guys when Unity is opened up. Alrighty everybody, welcome to Unity. This is what your hub is going to look, or it's the hub. You can call this the hub if you want. But this is what the basic version of Unity is going to look like. It will not have these three down here. This will be in full, so for you guys will notice that this is full. This is going to be a little bit more expanded. I've been working with Unity a little bit more, so I have other stuff already here for me. So if you guys want to make yours like mine, like if you feel that it's in your best interest to have yours looking exactly like mine, head over here to Window, and then you can open up this tab right here and open up everything that you see on my screen and set it up the way I have it. If you guys want to move, let's say, oh man, I'm not really happy with where this hierarchy tab is right now, right? I'm not happy with where it is. You can always click it and drag it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use that as an arrow. You can drag it over basically here. And when you do that, so watch, I still have my pen turned on, holy crap. I can grab it, and I can move it over here if I want to, but I don't want to. I like it where it's at. So if you guys want to move your tabs, you guys have to see all these different tabs. I will explain them in just a moment, but if you guys want to organize basically your view so that it's just like mine, so it makes the most sense for you, please feel free to do so. All you got to do is go over here to Windows and just look around at my screen. I'll open that up so you guys can see and copy it as mine is if you really want to. You don't have to. Honestly, in my opinion, just leave yours as is, because you won't need animation, animator, or timeline anytime soon. You won't really need lighting or navigation, because really we're not going to be working with those in the very beginning. I'm just here to teach you the beginner steps of Unity. Alright, so now that you've decided whether or not to make your scene like mine, it's time to start explaining what all of these different tabs mean. So let's start from the top left, right here at the hierarchy. That was a terrible arrow. Boom, hierarchy. What the heck is a hierarchy? Basically, your hierarchy tab is everything that you have in your scene, which is right over here, this wonderful little area. This is your scene, that's your scene, that's your scene. It's all the scene, right? And the hierarchy just tells you have a camera in your scene. You have a directional light in your scene, right? This is basically just telling you, all right, this is what you have currently active in your scene. So if I go and create something, it'll say, you made this thing, and it's gonna be over here. Like, let's say I made a cube and it's just chilling there in the middle of nowhere in space. It'll say cube, and it'll be boom, right here in the middle of my scene. All right. Now let's head over a little bit more to the right, over here to the scene. Obviously, I've kind of already explained the scene. Basically, it's your view, the edit view of everything that's going on here. So we can select stuff. If I wanted to, I could select the camera or the directional light. So if I wanted to, I can just quickly turn that off and be like, oh, look, boom. Or click it and be like, aha, I can move it. Now let's scoot one more over to the game tab right here. Go ahead and click on that, and don't freak out when it happens, all right? So this is what it's going to look like. And basically what the game tab is you see this camera right here, your main camera, the game, so see how that looks kind of odd. So if you guys look in the bottom right here, let me circle it. Boom. So I don't know if you guys noticed this right away, but when I see the camera preview, it looks oddly enough like my game preview. And that's what literally it is. The main camera, where it's looking, the reason it's called a camera, it's where it's looking is what the game view sees. So the game view is what your camera sees. So basically this is what your character or what your game will look like once I hit the play button right up. That's not what I need. Right here. Right? Once I hit that button, this is what the game's gonna look like. This is what the camera sees. Alrighty? So if that makes sense. Now we'll scoot one more over to the asset store. We're not gonna really worry too much about this one, but I'm going to explain it anyways because it will come in handy eventually as you guys are becoming more game developer-y. So the asset store, if we open her up, let's give it a second to load. Boom, here's the asset store. And basically the asset store has a bunch I mean, a bunch of amazing assets. Look, you guys got a bunch of characters in this one. You guys got creatures, we got a bunch of monsters, all kinds of really cool stuff, and then you can browse them by categories. All right, well, let's see. What can I make? These are levels that you can make with other stuff, so let's go into like 3D, right? We click on 3D, it's gonna load up all of the Unity assets for 3D. Look at all of these different assets, and the list goes on and on and on. Look, you guys can make a super sick looking meadow. Unfortunately, so as a student, as you guys are learning, you guys are gonna want to have your pricing set to 0 here, right over here, and basically everything that you get from the free versions of the asset store, you cannot publish publicly. So like, let's say you're going to make a game to make money off of it. You cannot have a 3D, so like this Nature Starter Kit 2, right? Notice how it's free, right? So I click on it, boom. But the license, and when you download it, it's gonna have a README that says you cannot publicly release this unless you buy the full version of it. So if you guys get to a point where you're making all kinds of really cool games, don't be trying to get free assets to get out of it. You have to buy them, or else the company that makes them, which is Shapes, all right, they can be like, hey, you used our assets without our permission because you didn't buy them, we can get you. But again, like I said, you don't really need to be worrying about the asset store right now. I'm just showing you what it's able to be doing. Now let's head a little bit more over here to the right, and you will have only this tab open. You will have the inspector, and basically the inspector is, let's pretend I have this directional light open, right, or the camera. And you notice whenever I click on them, stuff appears over here in the inspector. When I click off, boom, it's empty. Pretty cool, right? So basically the inspector tells you everything you need to know about the object. All right, so let's go over one at a time. So first we have the name, we got the tag, the layer, we will get into that later. We have the transform. What the heck is a transform? A transform is its position on a world in a 3D plane. So we are in a 3D game, right? We decided to make, hey, we're gonna make a 3D game. So the transform is its position in a 3D plane. And that is where this position comes in, right here. Boom, position. Now how does it work? How can you know for sure how it works? Well, we have this wonderful little tool right up here that tells you exactly where you're looking in terms of your X, Y, and Z axis. Now, you're gonna get to know the color coordination pretty quickly. You have your red, which is your X axis. This is your left to right. And if you wanna move something, you can click these arrows and you can see for yourself how it looks. Boom, see that, guys? So you can move stuff around. This is your X axis. This is your left to right. Now let's put that back to 0. Now your Y is your up and down. So up and down. Easy enough? Makes sense? Let's put that back at 1. And your Z is your forwards and your backwards. So if you want to zoom in on something or zoom out on something. Obviously, we're going to keep them all the same. So -10. Now, if you guys want to move something in your scene, you have to either use these arrows. This will keep it in the one direction that you're moving it. Or if you really want to, you can grab these squares and move it freely across all of them except where you can't. So I click the Z-axis square, so I can only move it on the X and Y. If I click the red one, then I can only move it on the forward and the up, versus if I want to, basically these squares nullify where you're going to be putting it. So if I click this one, okay, cool, I'm only going to be using it on the X and Y. So the color is the exception. So okay, I want to not move it up, but I do want to move it left and forward. Okay, you can do that without ever moving it up. It will not go up from 1. It may look like it in the scene, so see how it's like way back there? It kind of looks like it went up, but if I click it and move it up, see how that looks? So that's how that works. Let's put them back. Same with the directional light. You guys can click any of the red, blue, or green and move it wherever you want it to be. Now the cool thing with the directional light is you can woo, and it doesn't matter, you will still have the light in your scene. But let's say you actually wanted your directional light and you're like, oh man, I don't know where it went, how the heck do I get to it? You guys have two options to get to it. You can either A, double click it in your hierarchy and it'll zoom in on your light. Now I lost my camera and I want to get back to my camera. You can click on the camera and press F, So like, see how it's way over there? You can click F and it'll be like, oh yes, I want to focus on that. Or again, double click and it'll zoom in over here. Now, let's say you want to zoom in and out of your scene. To zoom in and out of a scene, you need to click, or you need to use your middle mouse scroll wheel. So your little scroll wheel, this allows you to zoom in and out. If you want to pan, see how I'm like panning around like this? If you want to pan, you click and hold your middle mouse button. If you want to view as if it's your first person look, you guys can right mouse click, and this allows you to look around as if it's your own head. So it's like, oh, I want to look this way or this way. You cannot orbit around. If you want to really orbit around, you guys can press Alt and left click and you can orbit. So let's say I'm zoomed in on my main camera, right? So I'm zooming in and I really want to look at it from the bottom. Then you can press and hold Alt and left click and orbit around your object. And the cool thing about Unity, what is one of my favorite things about Unity is, I don't know if you guys have noticed, every single time, so let's say I'm orbiting, right? And I'm really getting in there and I forget my mouse is over on this side of the screen, right? So if you guys notice, so I'm going to put a little arrow and I'm just going to have you guys watch. So when I'm orbiting and I'm going this way, my mouse ends up on this side of the screen, but notice I keep spinning. And then look, here's my mouse again. Whee! So Unity has a freaking fantastic system when it comes to doing any sort of work that involves rotating or any sort of thing like that. Because if you're adjusting, let's say you're adjusting a slider or you're just adjusting your view, you can really adjust your view and it won't mess up. You don't have to stop right here like, oh man, okay, now I need to go back and then do this and then do this and then blah, blah, blah. Like, it's super consistent and it makes it so much easier. That's why I really love the way Unity works, because you can have your mouse over on this side of the screen and if you're working, then it will continue on. However, if you're not working and it's just the regular mouse, oh no, I can't do that. So that's one of the main fantastic things about Unity is while you're working, it will not mess with you. It will keep it up. It'll make it nice and fluid. Now, let's go over here down to the bottom left. We got the project tab right there. Now in the project tab is everything, so you can think of the project tab as your storage, the storage of everything that's in your game. So let's say I want to put my camera in storage. Boom. My camera is now in storage. That's super cool. Now the even cooler thing about this storage is I can now grab my camera and bring it out. Now I got two cameras. That's pretty dope. So that's the awesome thing about the project tab is, let's say I make something, right? So I create something over here, right? And then I'm like, oh man, I really like what I created. I want to pull it back out. And you can do that. You create a cube, you make a beautiful cube, you can bring it out. Well, let's actually make something so you guys can actually feel what this is like. So there's one true way to make something in Unity, and then I'll show you the other way very soon. So if we head over here, you guys can right click in here all you want and it won't let you. So you have to right click over here in your hierarchy and you will find this wonderful little thing. Now you will have create empty, 3D objects, 2D objects, effects, lights, audio, videos, UIs, and cameras. You can make another camera right here if you wanted to. Right now, we're going to be solely focused on 3D objects. Now you guys have this wonderful little thing, and we're going to be worrying about everything above quad because this stuff is a little bit more in the intermediate beginner section, and right now, I'm just getting you guys used to how Unity works. So let's get you a cube. So all you guys got to do is right click, go to 3D object, and left click on cube. Bam! Look at that, guys. I have a cube. Isn't that pretty freaking sweet? However, when you guys create this cube, you guys will notice this. Over here in your transform, it has created the most disgusting placement for it. It has -2, 0.3, and -7, or whatever your current set is. Maybe yours is a little bit different than mine, but it will have this most disgusting thing in the world. And you really don't want that, right? You don't want to have to spend your time going, all right, let me click in here, 0, 0, and 0, right? So 0 it out, right? So let me put it in like some disgusting, like, all right, 1.3 and 5 and then -7, right? I don't want it there. right? This isn't even that bad. The other number I had was disgusting. But let's say I really don't want it there. I want it to be at 0, 0, 0. You guys can right click and click reset. Boom, it puts you at 0, 0, 0 in the position. Now, let's say, all right, I like my cube, right? And I want to just kind of mess with it a little bit, right? I'm not satisfied that it's just there and not like cool. I want to make it cooler, right? Now I'm going to teach you guys your keyboard commands. There are 3 main keyboard commands. There is W, which allows you to get this current thing here. This allows you to change your position in the world. So if you press W, or if you're already there, which you will be, then you're good and set. Now let's say I want to rotate it. I can hit E, and this will come up. And this is how you rotate something. So I want to rotate it on the X-axis. Whee! I want to rotate it on the Y-axis. Woo! And I want to rotate it on the Z-axis. Bam! Now I have a really cool looking cube, but again, the numbers are disgusting. Let's reset it so that it's normal. Now, let's say you're really proud of this cube, but let's say but you don't want to move its position, right? Let's say I have it set at 10, right? So let's zoom out, right? And this is where it really has to be. You have to have it at 10, right? But you don't want to screw this up. You can always Control Z and will undo your last action. Unfortunately, obviously, I moved it after I did it, so let's do it again. So, oh no, I don't want it to do that. Control Z, boom. Just like I left it at 0, 0, 0 with no rotation, and now I'm happy. Or let's say, again, I'm at 5, right? And then I'm working, and then, oh, crap, I accidentally rotated the cube I didn't want to rotate. Control Z, and it's still at 5, and you don't have too much to worry about. Now let's put it back at 0, 0, 0. Boom. Now, if you really want to get fancy, you guys can click in here to any of these positions and type in your manual numbers. Or if you guys really want to, you can hold Control, which is another key command, and you can move your cube along that axis by 0.25 units. You will notice here, let's move it once, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1, 1.25. You guys get the drift, right? And that is really good. It's called your snapping. And this allows you to snap your cube along your axis to really get into the details of it, right? So if you don't want to just be freehanding it, so notice how the freehand is a lot more dangerous, right? I won't get those beautiful numbers unless I was holding Control, right? Now I'm getting those beautiful numbers when it comes to moving my object. Now this object is really just kind of bland, right? You know, it's just kind of there. It's just a cube and it's just white, right? But let me explain something to you guys real quick. So we come back over here to the inspector. I've talked to you about your transform. Now, there's some other stuff you will notice over here. You have your cube mesh filter, and that is basically just telling you, hey, I'm a cube. And that's all it is. That's all it's saying is, hey, I'm a cube. Now we have the mesh renderer. And this basically says, all right, if it has a material on it, what does it look like and how big is it? So like, let's say you have some super beautiful advanced material that makes it look like a stone, right? Or like a bunch of stones all piled into a brick, right? Then you can have the size of that. We really won't worry about that right now. And then you'll notice you have lighting, probes, and additional settings. We really won't worry about those right now. Now, if we clear that up and we go down a little bit more, we have the box collider. That was a terrible line. Box collider. And basically what the box collider says is, let's say I have another object in my scene. Like, let's say my camera here is an actual object that isn't just transparent, it exists. And let's say my player, right? I have a player and let's envision Mario is jumping around and he needs to land on this block. But it doesn't have a box collider. Well, he's going to just fall right through it. Why? Because the box collider says, hey, I'm a solid object, not just a fluid object for scenery and design. So like imagine you're in Halo or any other game where there's a bunch of walls, but you're not allowed to walk through those walls. It's because they have colliders on them saying, hey, I'm solid. You cannot go through me unless I tell you to, right? So doors, when they open, okay, now I can go through them because that door's open. Versus when that door's closed, oh man, I can't go through. So that's basically all a collider is. It's saying, hey, I am a solid object. You cannot walk through me or you cannot phase through me. All right? And that's all a collider is. Now, let's get back to making this cube fancy. So we come back over here to our project, little folder or tab over here. So we're in our project tab again. Now, one of the great things is if I want to make this cube beautiful, I can right click in my project. Oh, I still have my pen on, so that's why it won't work. I can right click in my project and this menu will come up. And when this menu comes up, you guys can come up here to create. And now in the create, so this tells you, okay, you can create all of these things in your project folder. We're only going to be worrying about material. What is a material? Basically a material, so go ahead and create that. A material is a coloration or something to do with changing the overall look of your object. So I'm going to name mine dirt because we're going to make this a dirt block, right? So I named it dirt. Now, let's say I butchered the spelling of it, right? So let's say, I'm going to tell you how to rename it in a second. So let's say I named it Drit. Or dirty. Yeah, that's how I named it, right? Let's say you butcher the spelling of something and you want to fix it. You guys can hit F2 and you can rename it. Yay! It's not going to bug me now that it's named actual dirt. Now, there was another way, but they did update it so that you do have to press F2. You used to be able to just double click it and then change it. However, double clicking it just opens up if it's a prefab, which I will explain what those are in a minute. However, let's get back into colorations. So we have dirt, right? Well, it's still over here. You'll notice in the bottom right. This is your view of what it looks like. It's still white. So if I drag dirt onto my cube, that was a beautiful arrow. If I drag dirt onto my cube, it's still going to be white. Nothing changed. How do I change it? Well, we're going to come over here to this wonderful little coloration device. Now, how do you use it? Go ahead and click on the white, and this wonderful little tab appears. And this has your entire color spectrum. Now let's make it dirt. All right. And snap my fingers. Good enough. Now, once you're satisfied with your color, I'm just saying good enough. Obviously, that's not very dirty. It's just brown. You guys can safely click the big red X, and it'll keep the color you have. And you'll notice down here in your bottom right, this changed colors. Now, if I drag and drop it, so this is how you apply a color, guys, or a material. There's two ways. You guys can drag and drop it onto your object in your scene, or you could drag and drop it onto your object in your hierarchy. However, as you guys are making huge games, you will have a ton of different cubes and objects in your game, and you really won't know which one is this specific cube you want to color brown. So, in all honesty, you guys are mostly going to be dragging it onto the object in your scene, because let's be honest, guys, as you guys have more and more and more and more in here, this is going to get super cluttered, and you're going to forget, oh, this cube is the one I wanted to color, and you're going to color the camera on accident or something like that. I'm just saying, it'll happen because really, when it comes to having a bunch of stuff in your scene, in your hierarchy, it's almost impossible to drag and drop it on here because this is obviously really small. So just drag it onto the bigger object of the things that you can drag it on. Now look, my brown block exists in the scene. It's brown, it's cool, but it's really just kind of there. It really doesn't look that dirty to me. Well, we can fix that. So if we come back over here to our material in the inspector, we will go down one and we have metallic and smoothness. Now, what does this mean? Well, let's play with the smoothness first. So if you notice, your smoothness is at 0.5, and you can pretend that the smoothness is kind of like the opacity of the object. See how I play with it here? It changes how it looks. So at 1, if you take a look over here in your inspector on the bottom, it looks more like glass, like very brown glass. Versus 0, it's very there's no other shine on it. And basically you can say that your smoothness is how much light is able to go through the object, right? Is there any light able to pass through the object, or is there all of the light allowed to really pass through this object and project its color? So I'm going to set mine to 0, right? Because it's dirt. You really don't see light passing through dirt. It's just dirt. Now we're going to go up one to the metallic. And metallic is adding a shade of metal to it. So like what it would look like in a pure metal form versus a non-metal form. And you'll notice it just gets darker. That's because this is basically going from I am dirt to I am metal. So how metallic do you want it to look? Well, I'm going to scale mine up to 1. Now it looks like a real dirt block. To me, honestly, it's just kind of like it's just a block of dirt, right? That's cool and all, but I want to make this a grass block. Well, how am I supposed to just change this top one? If I apply the thing to it, it's going to change all of it. Well, let's make another cube so we can make it pretty grassy. So let's go back to here, create another cube. It's going to be called cube 1, and it'll drop it in a random place in your scene. Now, what's cool about this is I can drag it over. Let's bring it over here. All right, so let's bring it over. And boom, right? Or make it easy on yourself and put it here 0, 0, 0. Now, if you'll notice something, look, my other cube is hidden, but I want to put a material that's green on this block. I move this block just like right there, and it's really hard to hit. Or if this one's in the exact same position as this one, right? And I apply dirt, how am I supposed to know that I'm actually hitting this block? You don't really know for sure which block you're going to be applying it to. So this is where if you created another, let's create another material. Boom. I'm going to name this one grass, and I'm going to make it green. So let's go lime, and that's beautiful. Boom, perfect. I'm going to apply it. Notice, see, this other cube I made, it's green, but if I had put it on this one, I could have made this cube green, and then this one still would have been white. And you can tell for sure what cube is what color because of this tab right there. So see how it says grass right there is a shader. So if I go over here to this cube, it says dirt. So sometimes when it comes down to applying materials, you guys got to be really careful. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed when I was moving my cube around, but I ran into a problem, and I'm going to show it to you again. So with cube 1 selected, I'm going to move it up just 0.25. Now notice right away this. This is not what's supposed to happen, right? And basically what is happening here, it is called Z-fighting. It is disgusting and no one likes it. It ruins the aesthetic of a game when it comes to Z-fighting, and it happens quite a bit. Now I'm going to explain how it happens. So as you guys noticed, when I had my 2 cubes that existed at the same point, only one of them showed, right? So it's only going to render of the dirt color, or it's only going to render the grass color. But when it comes to moving it up 0.25, whoa. And then the reason this is happening is because it can see the brown and it can see the green, but it knows that both the green and the brown are existing on the exact same position, the 0 and the 0, even though this is up 0.25. That's why this part's fine. This part's fine, right? So you'll notice from like here to here, this part is fine and this part is fine, while this part is crazy. We don't want that in a game. Now obviously the main reason this is happening is because this cube right here is at the exact same position at X and at Z, and that's why at the Y right here, that was a horrible Y, right here at this Y coordinate it's fine. Right here it's fine, versus here this is your X and then this is your Z, and you can clearly see that it's trying to fight to render the color. Now, there is many ways you can fix it. Obviously, the main one being I'm going to scoot this cube up so it no longer does it. But I'm going to show you how powerful Unity is by scaling up my green cube by 0.1. So I'm going to enter it in, and I'll show you the key command to scale stuff, obviously, in just a second. So I want you guys to go over here to your scale on your X and your Z, and I want you to scale it to 1.01. Now notice, immediately, my Z fighting is no longer a thing. Now if you really want to push it, let's put it at 0, 0, 1, and 0, 0, 1. Now, I'm going to show you how small this is, right? I'm like right under this thing, and I can't even see the line that this cube is overlapping this cube, and Z fighting is no longer a thing. And that's because this cube is just 0.00 or 0, you know what I mean, 1.001 bigger than this block. It's 001 bigger. 001 of a unit bigger, right? That's how powerful Unity is. You can be in the thousandth. This is what it is. This is a thousandth. So you have your tenths, your hundredths, and your thousandths. This is a thousandth of a unit bigger than this block. 1,000th of a unit bigger and the Z fighting goes away. But when I put it back at 1, that Z fighting is going to come back. When I put this down to 1 again, that Z fighting is going to come back and it's going to be a problem again. But this is how powerful Unity is and how accurate. Unity is dead accurate. You guys see it for yourself right now. I made this 0.001 unit bigger. That is how much bigger I made it. And it immediately nullified. And you can't even notice. If I was a game developer and I saw this, I would not know that the green block was bigger. Honestly, like if I was just playing the game, I would just be like, oh, that's cool. But as a game developer now, I'm like, okay, so you made this block a little bit bigger because it's just chilling right on top, right? So of course it's going to work. But right away, you really can't tell that this block is bigger. You can look at it from the underside, you can look at it from this angle or this angle, and it's impossible to tell that this block is bigger. And that's what's amazing about Unity, is you just make it the slightest bit bigger, and it's fine. But the moment I make this brown block 1.001, look what happens. It's right back to where it was. So make sure you guys keep, if you guys really just want to, you guys can scale up your cube, and obviously that will nullify the problem in its entirety because, well, the blocks aren't in the same place. But I want to make my block beautiful. I want to make it a grass block. So now I'm going to tell you one more key command, and it's vital, and that is how to scale. So I've taught you how to rotate, how to move. Now I'm going to teach you how to scale. Now all you got to do is press R, and it's a lot like your move tool, except when you click it, it's going to scale it. Now we're only going to be doing the Y one right now, so we're going to scale it down. Scale, 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 scale. And let's press W and boop, 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 boop. Right? Just make it beautiful. Perfect. That's a grass block right there. Now, I want to move this grass block. Let's say now that I have this grass block, I'm not satisfied with where it's at, right? And I want to move them, right? I click the cube and I'm like, all right, let's move it. Hold on, wait, let me put it back. All right, let's put it back. All right, let's try again. Let's go. Oh. What the heck? Why do I have to do this in order to move the block? Well, it works now. What the heck? Why is it doing that? Now, I'm going to teach you a super important thing, and it's called childing. And childing is basically taking one object and saying you are dependent on this one. So I'm going to have this childed to this cube. And how you child something is you grab it, you click and hold, and you can move it around. So if I wanted to put it down here or move it up in my scene, you can click and hold and move it. But all I did was I clicked it and I pulled it up onto this cube. And that says, now I am dependent on where you go. So when this one moves, the other one moves with it. But, let's put it back at 0. If I click this one will still move on its own. But let's be honest, guys, a lot of the time, you're going to click the bigger object of the two. You're going to be moving down here. And that's honestly fine. Now, remember that thing I told you about storage, right? So I'm satisfied with my block, right? I'm happy with it, and I want to make a bunch of it without having to duplicate it. Or I want it to be the exact same, and I don't want to go through the steps of having to make this cube again, because I'd have to make this cube, and then this cube, right? I'd have to remake them all again, and that's just a nightmare. I don't want to have to do that. So now I'm going to teach you what's called prefabbing. So what you're going to do is you're going to close up your cube, and we're going to name this. We're going to name it, right? Let's rename it. So you can either click this one and F2, and I'm going to name it grass block. Or you guys can come over here to the top right and click it and rename it to grass block. Now I want to prefab my grass block. Well, what is a prefab? A prefab is basically the storage, the memory of an object. And I'm going to show you how it works. So I'm going to prefab this grass block, right? Ready? So 1, 2, 3. It's now a prefab. That's what this means. That's what this blue block means in your project. It's basically saying, I remember all of your things that's going on here. So I'm going to remember that it's at position 0, 0, 0. Its scale is 1, 1, 1. And its rotation is 0, 0, 0. Right? Now let's say I want to bring out another grass block. All right. Boom. Now, notice now its scale is the exact same size, but of course its position is going to change because you put it there, right? But notice right away, something very different is you'll notice in the position, all of these are bold, right? We look down here at the scale, and that looks normal. That looks pretty normal. And the reason it's yelling at you like that is because in the prefab, it remembers, hey, I was at 0, 0, 0. So you're different from me because you're not at 0, 0, 0. You're at this. You're at this location versus my 0, 0, 0. And that's basically just saying, hey, I'm different from the prefab. Just remember that, right? Now, when it comes to a prefab, that is what you remember. So let's say I want to make this block specifically bigger. So I scale it up, right? And I scale this one up, and I scale this one up, right? And then I grab the original one, and I scale it up too. So I grab, scale, and scale, right? Okay, cool. I got some cooler looking blocks. And I'm like, okay, now let's grab this one from the prefab. And it's still going to be the 111-000 block. Why? Why is this one still the original form of the cube, and these two are not? Well, it's just like I just explained. You'll notice here now these are all bold, and then if I turn it off and I come over here, these are not bold and they're nice and happy. 111. Why is it that when I click on this one they're bold and this one they're bold? Of course, in the position they're also bold. Why is it that it's yelling at me? Well, when you stored this grass block, like I said, it's going to remember the original values. So its original values were 0, 0, 0 on both your position and your rotation, and its scale was 111, and that is all it knows. You told it that to save this grass block, it's going to be this. So it's going to be, so I'm going to reset it. So it's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 111, and that's all it will be. No matter what, that's what it will remember, right? So no matter how many times you instantiate this grass block, it will always have the scale of 111. So let's Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. All right, let's get rid of this one. So I don't want to, and then let's clear that. Let's reset you and delete you because I don't want you no more. I was just showing you how the prefabs work. So let's get rid of you and then reset you. So that is how a prefab works. Now let's say I actually am happy. So let's say I scale up, right, R, and I scale it this way, and I'm happy that it looks the way it is. Let's make this a beautiful number. Let's make it 2. It is 2 units big, right? And I'm happy that it looks like that. There's 2 ways you can save it. So you can either A, drag this grass block. This is basically the override of the other grass block, right? It says, okay, I am still 111. You can change it in here, which will save it out here. Or if you have the grass block selected, you can come up here to this one right here, this drop down. And that drop down says, hey, I'm an override of your prefab. And the prefab says, hey, look, there's an override in grass block, which is this, in your transform. And all that's saying is, look, here, the rest of it's fine, but my scaling has a change. You'll notice right here to the left of scaling, it has a blue line that says there is a change to the original prefab here. And it's like, hey, look, fix that or save me so that I'm different. So you can go to override and apply to all. Now if I drag out another grass block, it's going to be 2 units big on the X. That's pretty freaking cool. So change it how you please. I'm going to have mine as my 111 and I'm going to apply it. So I'm not getting driven insane by a block that's weird. Now, we're here to make a game, right? So I've taught you how to make an object in your scene, how to color it, how to make sure that it's not crazy whenever you make multiple of them, how to save it so that it looks beautiful. And now I'm going to teach you one more important thing is, if you guys will notice down here in my project, it's kind of getting crazy, right? I have materials, I have prefabs, I have a camera. Let's say I want to organize it a little bit more. I can right click and go to create folder. And I'm going to name this one materials. And I'm going to drag my dirt and my grass in there. Now if I open it up, boom. Now look, it's already looking better. Now let's make another folder, and we're gonna call this one Prefabs. Now let's put our grass block in there. Now our camera, I would not consider it a prefab, so I'm gonna leave this one out because honestly, we only need the one camera, and if you have multiple cameras, then you come up with a different problem, and then of course then I have to go into the intermediate section of it right away, and we don't want to do that, so we're going to stick with the one camera. Now we're here to make a game, like I said. How much fun is this game? Well, if we go to our game view, we got a block. I mean, at least our camera can see something. So let's make a level real quick. Let's do some quick level design, right? So I'm going to look at it from this angle, right? We can see our camera preview's got this block, right? I'm going to move up our camera. So we're going to and we're going to scoot it forward, and then I'm going to rotate it. Oh, that's scale. Rotate it. Boom. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now let's make a level real quick. So I'm going to control D, which allows you to duplicate. And then I'm going to hold control and scoot this one over. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to space this one out one more. And then let's make a jump. So you got to jump up. So 1. And bring that up 1. And then you really got to jump this one, right? You got to really jump. So you got to go from 3 to 5, right? So you got to go up, or you can go up 1, right? So up 1 over 1, or let's go up 1 over a half. And then duplicate it again, and then 5.5. I don't know why that went 5.52, 5.5. Right? Alright, that's a pretty cool level so far. Let's make an end block. Let's duplicate it one more time. And 7. Or 7.5, right? That's a pretty decent level. We gotta jump, right? We gotta jump from here to here. So from 3 to 4.5. Then we gotta jump from this block to this block. And then we gotta jump over here, and this is our end, right? Well, obviously, as you guys can see, our hierarchy now is getting pretty crazy, right? We got all kinds of different grass blocks. Now, I'm going to teach you another way to store your stuff that doesn't require a prefab. Now, we can right-click in here, and we can create an empty game object. And basically, this says, I am nothing, right? Have no object to me, no colliders, no nothing. I am just a position in the world. I'm going to name this to level, right? Now, if you click and then you hold shift and then click again, it'll select everything between where you clicked the two clicks. So I clicked one grass block, and then I shift clicked the top grass block, and that selects them all, and I could drag them onto there. Now watch this. My hierarchy is nice and clean, and I still have all my grass blocks. And even cooler, let's say I wanted to add it, boom, I duplicate another block, I move it over, and it's still in level. These empty game objects are freaking sweet. This is another way to store in your game. This is a way to say, hey, there's a ton of blocks in my level, and they're gonna pollute the heck out of my hierarchy. So why not do myself a favor and create a storage option for them, right? So now I got a pretty decent level that exists of a bunch of blocks, right? That's pretty freaking cool. And now I know how to make materials, I know how to make prefabs, and I know how to make basically a scene. This is a scene, right? This is what your game is. This is a scene, okay? So I've really taught you everything. Now, here comes the fun part. I want to make a player, because I want to play my game. So let's make a player. Let's create a 3D object, and let's put in a capsule. Go ahead and reset his transform, and let's bring him up so that he's not in the block. He's up 1.5 for me. Okay, so now look, we have a player, but I can't move him, right? I don't have player controls, right? I click my little play button here. Nope. Nope. What the heck? Why can't I control him, right? He has everything else like the other stuff. Why can't I control him? Well, here comes the fun part of Unity in-game design. For all of my beginners, there is no way that you can make this guy move without doing one vital thing. We're gonna go back to Google and we're gonna do something super crazy. Now, I'm gonna ask you to install Visual Studio. What is Visual Studio? Well, I don't know if you guys can tell from the pictures over here to the right or anything like that, but go ahead and download Visual Studio. If you guys are on PC, Windows, this is Visual Studio's 2019 for your PC, for my Windows. For my Mac OS guys and gals, for my Mac OS, you guys got Visual Studio Code right here. And then, of course, there's another one for Mac right here. Of course, get yourself the free download. Don't spend money. These are expensive. They are stupidly expensive. Get the free one. Community, powerful IDE, free for students, open source contributors, and individuals. Get the free one. It's easier, it's better, just get the free one. The only way you're gonna get this little capsule, which represents your player to move, is through coding. What, you're still here? Oh, fantastic, you're still here. Cool, so you're actually here to do Unity stuff. Wow, that's awesome. Yes, guys, I know. Terrifying, right? You have to do coding. How in the world am I gonna survive if I have to code, right? That's like terrifying. Honestly, guys, when I started out with Unity, and I was learning just like you guys, right? I've been in it for not too crazy long, right? But I'm here to help you from a standpoint of a newer person myself. I want to help you guys really get a grasp of things. And when I was told, yes, the only way you're going to get this capsule from point A to point B over here is by coding, I kind of freaked out. I walked away. I was like, oh my god, I gotta code. That's terrifying. But in reality, coding isn't that scary, guys. And that is going to be the subject of my next video. I'm going to get you guys to be able to move this capsule from point A to point B and still feel like you know something. And trust me, it's going to be terrifying. Alright? When it comes to coding, you never really know what's going to happen. And honestly, you have to accept the trial and error part of it. Because as a programmer, there's going to be a lot of things. When you program your dude to move, he's going to do this thing. He's going to go, ah! Or when you tell him to jump, he'll jump into outer space instead, right? And that's just all part of it. That is literally all just part of the fun of being a coder. Accepting the fact that you're going to make mistakes. You know, you're going to encounter bugs. Like, he'll get stuck on this block, right? He'll get to this block and he'll get stuck instead. Or maybe when I jump or when I move, he doesn't move the way I want him to move. You have to accept that. And honestly, when you come to the acceptance that, hey, I'm going to code something and it's probably going to mess up and it's probably going to be super funny when it happens, then honestly, coding becomes a thing of the past. It becomes more of a fun thing than a challenging, scary thing. And that's what I'm here to tell you guys. So in the next video, in my next upcoming video, I'm going to be taking you guys through the very beginning steps of learning how to code and making this little dude move from here to over here and basically say, look, that wasn't that bad, right? Alright, so for you guys who are interested in actually continuing and learning how to code, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.